ever. First name greatest, like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with. Started off local, but thanks to all the haters, I know G4 pilots on a first name basis.
Now I want to hear Nick talk, and I want to hear.
Might be the longest I've ever been silent on an episode, I think.
No, we were silent on the last
Coder,
one. Too.
yeah.
We didn't. We both didn't say anything on that one.
That one hasn't come out yet, but yeah.
Yeah, we were silent on that. We just let him rip.
Yeah.
But I want to hear your thoughts on the Olympia. I want to do a Nick GLOFF Olympia review. And any, like, what were your overall thoughts? You did watch it. Mm-hmm. What came to mind? Were you happy with the outcome, or
you stayed up till 4 a.m. to
on Friday?
Well, he doesn't. He does. Well, yeah, that's his normal hours.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Yeah. That's right.
On Friday,
He's thriving.
I was up the whole time.
Okay.
But on Saturday, I was not. So because they started a little bit later on Saturday than Friday, I was like, I am not. Because for Friday, I wasn't expecting it to be so late. Like,
well,
I was
nobody
thinking,
was, dude.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was going to be like 1:32 that it was going to be done and I was going to be going to bed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like 3:30, 3:45.
Yes, because it was after midnight. I remember looking at my phone. I'm like, these guys are getting on stage after midnight. Holy shit! How do you prepare for that?
Right. So like it was 3:45 going to bed Friday. I'm like, I'm not doing this 2 days in a row.
No, yeah, I didn't even go to finals Saturday.
Really?
No, I didn't. Huh? I flew home.
Okay.
Well, he flew home too, but like I could have went at night. But I was just bodybuilded and socialed out.
Yeah.
And me and Jacoby were both bodybuilded and socialed out. So we went to a place called Blueberry Hill and got pancakes.
Nice.
And sat there and watched it on his phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then two dudes.
And then I went. And then
two bodybuilding coaches just done with it.
Yeah, just done with it. We're just like, we even mentioned that. We're like, dude, all these people are there and like loving it. And it's like,
yeah.
Once you do this stuff for so long, you just don't care for like the
fanfare.
And all the bullshit. It's just like, I just want to watch the guys. And also, being at the show, like even I had VIP ticket or whatever, but the seats were shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything. I was all the way to the side.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And so I ended up watching it on the screen anyways.
Yeah.
And when they brought them out in comparisons, they turned the TV screen off.
They did. They turned both of them off.
Yeah. Could you see anything?
Dude, I was in Utah. I couldn't see shit.
There you go.
And I didn't have glasses on.
Yeah.
Because I'm 90.
Yeah.
And I mean, I looked at the screen, but the screen doesn't represent what they
So when they were, the screen also
it's just the closest you got when you have a full.
I mean, it was, that's why I was kind of like, I'll just watch it and just kind of see if I can actually see anything. But
so I can give my perspective, but I want to hear your perspective watching it because you got to see actually better than me and him got to see.
Yeah.
And we were there live. So tell me, when you're not in the building, what was your perspective overall?
I thought overall it was pretty much what I expected as far as the production of it, which doesn't actually say big things, honestly. Like with the live streaming specifically, it was a pain. Like it was cutting out a lot.
Was it?
Yep. It was getting very choppy a lot. And it's not even just like, oh, is this a user error? Is this just my computer? No. Like we had, both Kat and I had our laptops open looking at it. She was using hers to check mine. To see if it was my computer that was having a problem because I have a million tabs up because coach, every coach knows this. You have a million tabs.
A million tabs at all times.
A million. And so I had everything open. I'm not closing it. That's a non-negotiable.
Yep.
So she pulled up her computer to check. And at the same time, I have very close friends of mine, also clients that have their own little group. And they were having a watch party for the Olympia at the same time. So I was on the watch party too, and all of them were going like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Like, because it was cutting out and doing weird stuff the whole time.
So it was all across the board. It was just crap.
How much was it?
$70.
Damn.
Yep.
Highway robbery.
Yeah. And it was also not very clear which live streams were which.
Was another question, the camera, at these shows, they like zoom in, stop. Yep. Just keep it so we can see the whole stage.
Yep, they were zooming
and all
in
the
a lot.
competitor don't do that shit like that. You're not like why can they not?
Across.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yep,
like
they were
that
doing
shows
that
that does nothing for us.
They were doing that a lot.
Okay, they got to stop. But like, to your point is like, when are they gonna like fix this shit?
Yeah.
It's the same shit every year.
Yeah.
What was the commentating like?
I pretty much
It
had
was Phil and somebody.
it was better than having Sean Ray.
Yeah, at
So
least they fixed that.
yeah.
He really disappeared. Like he was there.
Yeah.
They had him. They like acknowledged him. I remember Bob mentioned him. He was sitting up there, but that was it.
Good. Yeah.
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 He finally got silenced.
Yeah. I mean, I have no qualms in saying it. Like,
I don't care either. Yeah.
No.
We can say whatever we want.
yeah, I mean, he did such a horrible job. It was all about him.
All about
Phil,
him.
I'll give him credit in contrast to Sean.
Did Phil do good?
He did all right. Yeah. I mean, he didn't give
Didn't
like
make it about himself.
he didn't make it about himself, which was like the most important thing as the person
did he
that
give
came
good
before.
insight? Like bodybuilding insight? Yeah.
No,
No.
not a lot. No,
Okay.
it was more like surface level stuff. So it was decent enough.
Yeah.
But I think it could also still be done better, which he's not done it before.
I was gonna say, this is his first time
Yeah.
doing that.
So like credit to him. It's
Maybe you would have.
soundboard's fall.
Because the information being exchanged in here is so damn heavy.
Frequency.
Yeah.
The frequency.
Yeah. So he did all right, especially for the first time through. From what I can tell, from what Phil's done in media in the past, he's not really the person that's that accustomed to talking a lot in public. And so it probably a little bit of a newer experience for
He
him.
never
to
had
be-
too much, but he's also not bad at it.
No, he wasn't bad at it either. It's just there's a very specific talent. Like it's not just you sitting there talking. It's like there's a very specific talent to being able to like commentate.
Fuad would probably be really good.
Probably, yeah. But it's like having a Joe Rogan for fight night. It's like there's a lot of people that know fighting.
Right, but there's only one Joe Rogan.
Right. There's a lot of people that know fighting,
So
but
we got to find that person for bodybuilding.
right. So, I mean, you could put anybody in there. It's not just Phil. Like, put up any other previous winner.
Mr. Olympia, yeah.
Yeah, any other previous Mr. Olympia, and they'd probably do a fairly similar job.
Right.
If not, worse than Phil.
Yeah.
Because Phil didn't do that bad.
Yeah.
So, I would give it to him. Like, I'll say this. While watching, I wasn't sitting there like, shut up.
Like turning, because
Yeah.
they're at, no, but you're right, because there's been a lot of shows that you do watch where you do want the people to just shut up.
Yep.
It's better if you're just quiet, so.
Yep. So I didn't have any of that.
That's
so
good.
so that's a definite positive. Camera work was definitely not fantastic. The live streams were not very clear for which ones were which. And so I actually got pretty fuming mad on Sunday morning when I was looking to find, because I didn't stay up to watch on Saturday for the finals.
Yeah.
I watched all the way through. I didn't see the placings for open is what I missed.
Okay.
So I didn't see the placings for classic and I didn't see the placings for open, but I saw all the comparisons, the final stuff, all the stuff that was really important.
Yep.
And then I wanted to just see the placings the next morning. When I looked back at the main live stream, it cut out right before the open.
Nice.
No shit.
Yeah. So if I was up on Saturday
Wow.
looking at the live stream and it
Yes.
just died, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, really? We're doing this right now. And then on Sunday morning, because I had that moment, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then I looked at the other main live stream that they had kind of front and center was the one with Phil, because there was another one that didn't have Phil on it.
There were two different live streams?
Yep, there were. There were. So there was other commentators on the other one, and then there was the one with Phil. So I clicked onto the one with Phil because it was the backstage live stream.
But you paid one thing and you could have access to different.
Yeah, you could
channel?
have access to, it's a web page. So on the web page, you just could get access to any of the streams that they had going.
Okay.
And any of the previous ones that they had logged into it. So I looked at the one with Phil with the backstage, and I was so angry, like ridiculously angry, because and rightfully so in this case, although I didn't see that there were like further separated streams, which I found out later that actually had like category each one to like, this is what it was. This is the live stream for the open placings. Like, I was told that by my own clients later on, because I was like, I was like, what the hell is going on? Because when I saw the placings, because I purposefully didn't go onto Instagram or anything to see it,
Oh, because you wanted to watch it like
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
I used to
okay.
do that too.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
watch it without any
Yeah,
influence
not
and
knowing.
actually
Yeah.
have the moment.
Yeah.
And I had the moment while watching it on the stream with Phil where they literally were cutting in between everything, like the classic and the open, but pretty much classic was uninterrupted. And then the open, the whole time it was going on stage, they were showing the film of them doing backstage interviews with bikini competitors for the whole placings of open. I was like,
Oh my
are you kidding me?
gosh.
Wait,
The prime time of open is the prime time attraction.
Who
wait,
was
I'm,
doing it?
wait,
I'm
I'm
si-
confused. You're saying that you're watching it and they're announcing the placings for open, or they're doing the routines for open, and
No,
in between they're cutting to interviews backstage?
Yes, they're cutting to interviews in between the whole time, but the entire time that the placings are getting done for open, and you can hear it. You can hear them because they're backstage. You can hear the announcers talking. You can hear Steve talking as well. And you know that there's something going on because it's literally real time.
Oh my gosh.
But then you're sitting there watching the live stream of lady backstage talking to a bikini competitor while they're naming 1 through 5 for the open. It's like, are you joking right now? You're kidding. You are wasting my time with filling this space of time where the open competitors that everyone cares about are getting placed so I can listen to whoever the hell bikini competitor talk about whatever this interviewer decides is important to ask.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Almost like they're trying to
haven't-
persuade people to just stop.
Yeah.
They want it to be more bikini focused than bodybuilding focused.
Bikini and classic.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's not. I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah,
it's
with
like
the
why
production,
would
so the production was terrible.
Right, which is one of the things like that was
a lot
also
of people been saying that on Instagram and stuff because I haven't
I think
paid attention.
I've heard
Yeah.
that they were cutting out. I thought it was like
Yeah.
individual, but when you say it's you and everybody else,
Yeah.
I've heard the live stream was horrible
yeah.
from a lot of people.
Yeah. And so like and also that kind of rubbed me wrong also because I kind of know how this whole thing goes. It's like, well, what's the moneymaker classes?
That's what I was gonna get.
Yeah,
into.
it's what? It's the most popular ones. It's
Yep.
bikini and classic, and then men's physique is following that. And then open is like way down there.
Yeah.
And then 212 is behind that.
Which isn't it weird? I want to hear your take on something else now that you made me think of. But they give all the money to the men's open winner.
Right. I know.
So what is your take on that? Because
I think
those guys and girls do have a gripe to say that they
Yeah, they
deserve
do.
more money.
Yeah, they do.
But us being open OG bodybuilders at heart, like I support the men's
Yeah.
open getting the money, but I
I-
can totally see the men's physique guy has every reason to say I should get $400,000.
Yeah. I think that it's probably on limited time right now that the open is going to have the highest prize money.
It has to be.
Yeah.
For it
And-
to make any type of sense from a business standpoint, any practical business person would look at this from the outside and be like, this makes no sense.
And so I would think, and I would hope, this is me with wishful thinking, is that we would look towards bringing all of the categories, maybe prefer the ones that are definitely pulling the most people in for interest first, but then bring up all the rest of the categories so everyone's prize money is the same.
I agree.
Just make it like a
Yes,
standard
it
cap.
should all be the
Yeah.
same.
for each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think me wishful thinking, that would be the best way for it to go, because then nobody has a gripe anymore.
You can't say anything.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
like, well, should you earn more? It's like, okay, like, hold on. Like, we're all doing the same thing. You decided to do it a different way. Maybe more people are more interested in doing it your way, but
I
you
can
don't
tell
really
you,
have
man,
legitimate
dude,
gripe
I've
on
been
that.
in this a long time, and the argument used to be that, well, the men's open is what's selling the tickets. I can't
not
say
the
that
case.
anymore.
It's
I can't
not
say
the
that
case.
anymore, man.
Yep.
I was there. I saw it. The Meet the Olympians was meet Chris Bumstead.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
his line was, they strategically had to pick where they put him, and they had to have security guards around him. I went and just checked on Matty Milkshake to make sure he was fine, because he had to stand there to basically, help be security.
Yeah.
I mean, he was literally standing there being security. So I was like, fuck you, Chris. I don't care about you. I just want to check on Maddie Milkshake. And Chris turns around and just goes, I'm like, you're doing great, buddy. This line of people was just, I mean, that everybody was there to see him, man.
Yeah. And how funny is it that we call him Milkshake?
Yeah.
How did that name start?
It's his Instagram handle.
Oh, is that?
I don't know where the original.
I don't know why he calls himself that. We'll have to ask him.
There's got to be a story somewhere.
We're going to put him on the couch one day and we
There
can
you
ask
go.
him.
We call him Milkshake.
Why do they call you Milkshake?
Why? Yeah. Yeah. We can just have like do the behind the scenes revive podcast where we put all the behind the scenes people right here.
Yeah.
We can put Calvin on.
Yeah.
Maddie Milkshake. We don't want Chris. We don't want you. Fuck off.
We love you, Chris.
Yeah.
We do.
I'm wearing your T-shirt.
Yeah, you are. So anyways, yeah, you can't say that anymore. The people are buying tickets not for Men's Open anymore.
Yeah. It's going.
And so there's going to have to be a shift. You're right.
Yeah, I think it is very short time that Open has the highest prize money. I don't know where it's going to get distributed
Classic,
to.
you mean?
Yeah, I think Classic's probably going to get it. Is going to be the highest.
Wouldn't it make sense if Chris Bumstead is the most popular bodybuilder in the world?
Yep.
Who is bringing? I don't even think we can measure how single-handedly how much he's impacting things. Like we can't even measure it, man.
I mean, you can't measure it, but you can see it. If you go up to a kid in a gym who's like 18 or 20, and what do you want to do? I want to look like Chris.
Yeah.
I want to compete in classic. You don't hear younger generations saying, I want to compete in bodybuilding.
Right.
That's not, that you just don't hear that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless there's someone that you can like train.
The only thing, I mean, dude, he has the same exact reach and impact that Arnold had at the time, I can imagine. Yeah. It's like the same thing. It's like everyone wanted to be Arnold back then.
Yep.
Now it's, you know, all these kids want to be Chris.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see something shift.
I think probably.
It has to.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts overall on the Men's Open show? Go. On the placings.
I thought it was done the right way.
Placed right.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, they did. They didn't let like the Olympia tends to go, where it's like, well, you gotta kill the winner.
Yep.
Like you gotta kill the previous number one.
And even then, we'll only drop them one spot.
Right. Yeah. You have to bury them in the backyard
for them to get second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case this time.
No.
Ramy wasn't awful. He definitely hit his shots horribly. Was one of the biggest things that kind of annoyed me watching him, because like you are better than this, Ramy. You're better than this. But you were hitting like all of your poses wrong. Like all of them.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like,
which is so weird because he was living with Dennis James, you know, for the last, and that's all they do was pose. But
yeah.
Well, the only thing I can think of is for that to happen from a physiological standpoint is his water balance was so thrown off.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't feel anything.
Yeah.
Your proprioception is just shit.
Yep.
So he probably couldn't feel anything.
Maybe. But that was one of the things that I was like, dude, like.
He was definitely off, because did you guys see Dennis James shared pictures before he left?
No.
He looked really good.
Really?
I mean, he was off from then. I mean, even Dennis was like, I don't want to speculate. I'm not going to speculate, but here's what he looked like when he left, before he left Arizona on December, I think it was 11th or something like that.
Okay.
And he really did look incredible. So something went not right.
Gotcha.
Peak, which happens a lot at that level.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, either way, I thought he was placed where he should have been.
Yeah. They put him where he should have been. And
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. I think especially with Samson being in 6th, they gave him a fair shake.
Yes.
Which is also not normal for the Olympia. You could be fantastic and then just get dropped into nowhere's land because they haven't seen you up there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. I thought they did a really good job sorting it out, especially with that many guys. The biggest lineup ever, which they also need to do something about, dude.
Yeah.
There should not be 31 guys in the Olympia.
No.
There should not be 65 men's physique guys. There were 65 guys.
Yep.
There were 60 classic guys
Yep.
at the Olympia.
Too many.
There's too many. You can't.
Too many.
And that's why the show ran and they were on stage at midnight. And I'm
Yeah.
sure I would fucking hope that these people that are making the decisions are having a meeting like this and they're like, we got a lot of shit we got to fix.
You'd hope, but every year it's
every
fucked.
year it's the same bullshit.
Yeah, every year it's the same.
And
so I doubt it.
And all we're seeing right now is the culmination of everyone talks about how easy it is to pro card. And what we're seeing now is that.
Yeah.
You're seeing classes of 60 at the Olympia, and now it's a problem.
Yep.
So what do we do?
Yeah, which it previously wasn't a problem. So I also understand on the part of the organizers is that, well,
This
are we
is
going to
new.
put a cap on it? It's like we're already having a hard time having people that interested in doing this. It's like, are we going to put a cap on how many people are showing up? No. Now there is. There's a huge wave of people that have finally gotten to that point.
Yeah.
That they're competing at that level.
Now they're finding where their medium's going to be at as far as...
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, how many did we have last year?
Well, in the men's open,
Yeah.
20, less than 20.
It was less than 20.
And
18?
in Classic?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not 60.
Not that
In,
many.
in physique?
Not even
Close.
close.
In physique?
Yeah.
Yeah. So nowhere near the numbers. So it was just like this was a tsunami that came in all at once.
Yeah.
So for them to anticipate that, and especially if people are like ready and they qualified, be like, you're not showing up this year. Like, excuse me, what? I did everything I needed to do to be able to go to the Olympia. Are you telling
you
me
can't
now?
change the
Yeah.
qualifying criteria when somebody's already qualified. But
Exactly.
now what do? You have to.
Now is the time.
Now's the time. They got to figure out only this many people can qualify, and they got to figure out.
Yep.
There's certain shows that you're just going to have to take Olympia qualifications away from.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way. You're going to have to just make however many shows a year, because there's a lot of shows that are men's physique or classic shows that open bodybuilding is not attached to. Because there's a lot more of them, but two, what most people don't know is there's a separate sanction fee to hold a men's open show. It costs a lot of money as a promoter to have that as part of your show. I don't know what the dollar figure is anymore, but it's a lot.
That's ridiculous.
And then plus you have to have the prize money, right? So in a way, they're kind of like killing their own the division by
From the top.
from the top. They're destroying it.
Oh my God.
But does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, it's so ridiculous that I wish it would.
Yeah,
I wish it would surprise me because that's ridiculous.
yeah.
Like-
So that's why you see all those shows that have it's what you're seeing now is the NPC, the Pro-Am shows, right? But the Pro-Am shows don't have men's open. There's a ton of those. That's all you see everywhere popping up, because that's the easiest way for these promoters to make money.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
You don't have the men's open, you don't have to pay the sanction fee, and you don't have to have the prize money, and it's just but the men's open gets the most prize money at the Olympia. Like, it just makes no fucking sense.
Backwards.
Well, good job, guys, killing the genesis of your entire sport.
Yeah.
One step at a time. Great job.
Yeah. So, anyways,
we're all just going to switch to classic or men's physique. Let's just downsize.
Yeah,
We're all just going to downsize.
Right.
one interesting thing I thought being there that was
Oh, I had one other thing I wanted to say about placings.
yep.
I thought Nick did fantastic. I wanted to point that out.
Yep.
Because, I mean, he brought it. He did good.
He did.
He did good.
He did. I mean, him and Matt did.
Yeah.
They pulled it off.
Yeah. And I was saying, like, the entire lead up to this, and everyone was telling me, like, no, Nick's going to be, like, down 7-8. He'll be fighting it out with Ian. It's like, and that's no disrespect to Ian either. Ian's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, but that was what people were saying, is that Nick was going to be down, like, in second call out area. Like, I don't think so.
That's what people were saying.
Yeah.
Like, on the internet.
I don't know if it was on the internet, but people I would personally talk to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Be like, I think he's going to be second call out. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think that the 5th place that he took last year was a fluke.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's going to be a temporary period of time that he's going to be sitting in the top 5.
Yeah. The question I had about Nick, the only thing I didn't know if he was going to be up there was what was the reason he was winning last year? That he had that, like,
Crisp.
yep, ultra 4K, harder
Yep.
than everybody.
Yep.
Like, just looked like he was on 1 trillion milligrams of halotestin.
Right.
And nobody else was.
Right.
Like, it was just, like, eye-popping.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that's the reason why he was that good.
Yeah.
And if that's like a once in a lifetime look that you can have, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't know if he could replicate that, and he didn't replicate that,
Yeah.
but it's still just as good.
Yeah. He
And
was,
so he proved he's not a
yeah,
fluke.
he was at the top standard of a competitor
Yes.
at that level.
Yep. And
Yeah.
he is absolutely there.
Yep. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to make sure I said that because I was saying to everybody, it's like, no, think about who's going to be at the top, because people are giving me ridiculous people that were going to be at the top. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. What were they like? What?
like,
We're gonna see.
like Brandeo. Like, okay,
Yes.
like you're telling me Raphael.
I
is
always-
going,
yeah.
he's gonna come all the way to the top. Like, you literally know zero things
Zero.
about bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but thank you for your opinion.
Right.
Like, so knowing who was actually going to be sitting at the top, because who has been? It's been Ramy, it's been Hadi,
Yep.
and then everyone else is an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about him after.
Okay. Go. Keep going.
But really, at the top that we can expect every year for the last few has been Ramy and Hadi, and then it's been a back and forth between them to see who will take it. Ramy's been winning them, but I would have to argue that the last couple of times it's been,
You could say, yeah.
yeah, I would say it should have been Hadi a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah.
So, with that said, who's the closest comparison
Nick.
of everyone? Nick.
Yeah.
The size,
If
like,
you know
he-
bodybuilding, yeah.
yeah, you can stand him next to Ramy. He
Yep.
compares in size, definitely. There were a lot in the comparisons I saw. I was looking at Nick when they were doing a lot of the shots that were Ramy's shots a few years ago. That every time that they hit it, your eye went straight to him. Like, he's got it. He's crushed everybody.
Yeah.
I was looking at Nick for a lot of them. It's like, well, it looks like the mantle's been changed. So he's definitely not holding this now.
Yeah.
He's easy comparison for him for size. And then Hadi is like a similar overall body size and shape. It's like, okay, well, who's going to be the easiest comparison between those two people that are directly at the top?
Yep.
So where did I have Nick placing? Third.
Yeah. That's kind of where I had him too.
Yeah.
And what Nick has to focus on is like his front relaxed, front double, front lat spread. If he can make those 3 shots good enough, because those are the first 3 things you see, right?
Yep.
And when those are the first three you see with Hadi and Derek now, which is who is in front of him.
Yep.
They're winning all those shots.
Yep.
So he has to get his physique to a point where he can at least hang with them on those 3 shots.
Yep.
Because by the time they get to the side and the back,
Yep.
then he's fighting and then the most muscular, because Nick's back double and his most muscular, once you just going through the order of poses, it's like he has to hang just enough on those shots so he can get to those shots, because then he hits the most muscular,
And
which
it
is
crushes people.
Derek's weakest shot.
Yes. Yep.
Then he can crush them and
Yep.
kind of sling past them. So if he can get in throw ab and thigh in there too, if he can get his hang with an ab and thigh.
Yeah.
But the front relaxed, front lat, front double, those, if he can get those shots as good as he possibly can,
Yep.
then that's how he can beat him. And
I think it's a lot of opposing thing.
yeah,
I think it really is.
yeah.
I think it's opposing thing. I think he's got the tissue. I think
Yeah,
maybe it's going to be a little bit
There's
more.
going to be a way that
that
he could finagle
Yeah.
and move around a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you notice, he did some of that stuff this year. He did.
Yeah, he did.
He put together a posing routine.
Yes, he did.
He
and
wasn't
it was
just
amazing.
he wasn't just walking back and forth, hitting
Yeah.
most musculars, pointing at the crowd.
Yeah.
He did a good job. He did a routine.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I was very
I
impressed.
could tell he was
watching
pulling
that.
out. He was pulling out stuff that I knew that he could do. If like people that know him,
Yep.
like behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like in the posing, he can do. Like he can do all that stuff. He just for whatever reason,
Yeah.
hasn't on stage, and so he finally busted all that out. So
Yeah.
he did do a really good job, man.
Yeah,
He
it
was-
looked awesome.
Yeah, he was super impressive.
Yep.
So were you impressed with Derek or no? Were you surprised?
I was surprised.
Dude, I was telling people, you can ask him. I said, I will not be surprised if Derek wins. I've been saying that for months.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah?
Yep.
I thought he was going to be like closer to 5th.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be first call out. I didn't think
But
he
not
was
that
gonna
high.
Be,
You didn't
yeah, I
think he'd
didn't
be
think he was
pushing to
gonna be.
win.
I did.
Dude, I had a feeling. I had a feeling. It's just because, dude, he has that Phil Heath like
Yeah.
effect to where he walks out just like that 4D muscle.
Yeah.
Because when he walked out and he just hit a front relaxed, the place exploded. I've never been at a show where people erupted from a front relaxed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were texting each other back and
we
forth. I was
text
like,
each
when was the
other.
last time
Dude,
you
he
heard a
walked
crowd
out and hit a
erupt?
front real, and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I looked around, everyone was like, what the?
Yeah.
It just didn't look real. Plus, I agree with you because it was his first year in the Open.
Yeah.
So you don't think
Right.
first year Open that
Oh
would
man,
be.
I knew that.
No, but I'm saying
I
like before you
knew-
saw him, like
Yeah,
leading
but
up
I
to the
knew
show.
like if you've been paying attention to Derek, you knew that he would always look fucking wild in the 220s.
Yep.
And then it's like he'd suck down to 212, and then you're just left with like, well, I wonder what that looks like on stage in the 220s.
Yeah.
And then knowing that he had a whole year,
Yep.
so he was probably in the 230s.
Yep.
And you're like, I wonder what that looks like. I knew that our brains didn't even know what that looked like. And then knowing that he had Hani
Yep.
to bring him in, you knew it was going to be perfect.
Yep.
And then that's what we saw. And then he turns around and he took a minute. He just flexed his glute and his hamstring and just slowly went into that back double, and the place just fucking lost it.
Yeah.
But the part that I thought of that was interesting that I want to hear your perspective on, because you were there, is Hadi came out first.
Yeah.
So Hadi had the disservice of being the first guy, because I say that a disservice because we had no
Yeah.
reference point.
Yeah, you don't know who else
Right?
is there, what they're looking like.
Correct. So in Hadi always, it's just like, okay, yeah, he looks amazing. I'm like, okay, yeah, he looks great. Ooh, looks like Hadi.
Yeah.
If he would have came out in the middle
Yeah.
or after some people,
Yeah.
there would have been much more of a wow factor. So I had Derek winning because of he came out after some people, and then people were just like, whoa.
Contrast.
Everyone
Yeah,
was
had no
was
contrast.
was silent for Hadi. Everyone was just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, that's Hadi. He's great. We
Yeah.
know he's great.
Yeah. Hadi's nearly perfect.
Yeah.
Like expected.
And then he walked off, and
Yeah.
then you saw people after, and then you start to realize, oh shit, Hadi's really good.
Yeah.
But you still, because you had to think back,
Yeah.
it wasn't as
it
impactful.
wasn't. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So and then I couldn't see the comparisons at all. So I actually thought Derek was gonna win.
Yeah.
But then when I go back and look at the photos and the video, I'm like, okay, yeah, Hadi won that show.
Yeah. Where I was sitting, like I was getting irritated with even the commentators, because the commentators on the live stream were like, I think Derek's got it.
Oh, they
I think
were?
Derek's got it.
Really?
Are you watching the same
Yeah,
thing
Hadi's
I'm
just
watching right
too
now?
front to
Like,
back, to
yeah.
back, top to
I
bottom.
think-
He's just too much.
Yeah.
People were just getting excited about Derek being put next to Hadi and put in the middle of the mix, and just thinking that it's almost like they have that,
Yeah.
holy crap, like this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Like they were just riding that optimism
Yeah.
for him.
Me being a perennial cynic, like, he doesn't deserve it right now. Like,
Not right. You said right
Yeah,
now.
right
I think
now.
Next year, though, a whole nother year.
oh yeah, like if he pulls up just a tiny number of things, absolutely.
It'd be dangerous.
What's he need to improve?
I think honestly the biggest thing that stuck out to me, because there wasn't a lot, obviously, because he's second in the world.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that really stuck out to me was his triceps.
Yeah, they're flat.
Yeah.
For me, it's for Derek. It's how do you get that most muscular
That was what got it.
better?
That was it. Because every time he did that crab, I was like, there's nothing on the outside of that arm.
And what that is, it's just he doesn't have the same what is falling off?
Soundboards.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's getting too humid in here for him.
It's like he doesn't have the same like that density through the delts, pecs, triceps,
Yeah.
even like the abs. Just not
Yeah.
that same amount of like dryness and graininess that he has like through his glutes. Let's say,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Which
And-
Hadi has on every body
Every
part.
body part, right?
So, yeah.
And then Derek is just, again, that front relax, front lat spread, front double, that shape,
Unreal.
unreal.
Yeah.
And that is hard to overcome when you win those shots. Pair that with a back double that is fucking lights out.
Yep.
Like lights out, like
Yeah.
that's really hard to beat. But then he hits that most muscular, and then
Yeah.
people make up ground on him.
Yeah. And that is definitely where Hadi got him.
And that is where Hadi got him, yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I could recognize judging through bodybuilding. It's like Hadi still looks better on these front shots
Yeah.
than Derek does. But I'm still drawn to looking at Derek.
Yeah.
He's got a flow that's hard to
Yeah.
ignore.
So
It's
I had
very
to
hard to ignore.
I had to purposefully like be like, I need to be looking at Hottie right now
Yes.
to actually make a critical
Yeah.
comparison, so that I know instead of just keeping on looking at Derek for these shots. It's like, because that's what my brain kept on telling me. It's like,
Yeah.
look at Derek, look at Derek.
Look at
He looks
Derek.
crazy. Look at him. It's like, but then I looked at Hottie on his front shots, and I'm like, well, that is by all characteristics of bodybuilding.
Yes,
like,
when
that
you use your
is-
pragmatic brain.
Yep,
and
that
you're
is just rock solid.
and you're judging a bodybuilding show of who's the better bodybuilder. Hottie's still the better bodybuilder overall
Yep,
in all facets.
yep.
Yeah.
So that was what I defaulted to.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be fun seeing him, Derek, and Nick
yeah.
battle it out. Because the interesting part is, like, do you know how old Hottie is? I don't think anybody knows. I was talking to Austin yesterday. I'm like, I could see him being 35. I could also see him being 50.
Yeah.
I know he's not 50, but
He just never changes.
yeah.
Just looks the same year after year.
Yeah.
That is a good question, though. You can't really tell.
I kind of thought that he was like 45.
Yeah, maybe. He's
kinda
probably
what I thought.
probably somewhere in the middle there. He's probably around 40.
I don't know.
How great. I think it's fucking great that he speaks, the only English he speaks is this.
Yeah. Raise the roof. Yeah.
Left and right. Did you see him doing that? And like during the pose down, and somebody like got pissed off at him. Like,
Really?
Somebody was elbowing him. Yeah, it was Bonac.
Oh.
Bonac got pissed off at him.
Uh,
They kind of like shoved each other a little bit.
that might be a little bit of like Bonac being pissed.
Bonac being pissed. Bonac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Brandon Curry? You said you were going to say.
Oh yeah.
you were
Well,
gonna save
what were your
something
thoughts
for-
on Brandon Curry? Thank you for not forgetting that.
There were a handful of people that were talking to me about it, and everyone talks about it as it's coming up. It's like, oh, I think Brandon might have this year. Like, I think he's improved. Like, yeah, I know. Your eyes tell me the whole story. It's like, no.
What do you think he deserved? Fourth?
I think Ramy should have taken it over
That's-
him,
okay.
honestly.
Would you have put Samson over Brandon?
Yeah.
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 You could have made a case for that. You could have made a case for what,
Yeah.
Brandon 6th,
Yeah.
Ramy 4th, Samson 5th.
Yeah.
You could have made that case. Yeah.
Could've.
Nobody would have argued with that.
No. And it's the same thing that we all know. It's like Brandon just could not bring up his legs.
Yeah.
It's like he's still got the same crazy shots. Like, you put him in a comparison with the most muscular, be like, damn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's nice. Like, especially that crab pose that he
It's that,
has.
and
He's
it's
so
not
bubbly.
only that. It's the crispness that he lacks in the lower body too,
Yep. And
especially through the glutes and the
and
hamstrings.
it's kind of full body though.
Yeah, it is his whole body, his
Yeah.
front and his back. Yeah, his whole body is just that lack of crispness. It's just what carries him is the shape,
Yep.
the roundness,
Yep.
the fullness.
Yep.
Amazing physique.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, seems like an awesome dude.
Yep.
He does a pretty good job. But it doesn't beat the other guys in the top,
Yeah.
especially with the legs like that. Because like you could get away with not having that crispness and still be up in the top, but you can't do it without legs.
Yeah.
And to say,
Not yeah.
yeah, not to say that he
But
doesn't.
but to your point, that's how good he is that he won.
Yes,
He won an Olympia without legs.
yes, because he was really good.
Yeah.
Yep,
That he's so good.
yep. And then someone I do also want to talk about, even though I might land in shit for it.
Great.
Blessing.
Oh man. Boy, did he shit the bed, huh?
Yeah. And him talking about it afterwards is like, oh, I
He
know
was
it-
saying
I-
something went
I-
wrong.
I
Yeah.
know
screwed
exactly
up.
what went wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it went wrong like 5 years ago when you
when-
didn't actually
No,
start
achieve
building your legs.
Any knee flexion.
No.
Yeah,
Doesn't know what that means.
that was the issue, and that's immediately what came to my mind when I heard that, because I think I saw it on it's like a buys and tries, like one of those.
Little page it.
Yeah,
the
one-
page,
yeah.
They put the quotes.
Yeah, with the
yeah.
quotes. It's like,
That's
I know
where I saw it,
exactly
too.
where the
Yeah.
problem was, and it was in the last like 12 hours or whatever.
Yeah, he said it was in the last.
It's like-
yeah.
But he was like, great
No.
press conference, though. Because that's all he's good for.
Yeah.
It's just that media bullcrap. Like, he just causes controversy and a storyline. And,
Yeah,
I mean, that's why people know him. It's not because he's a great bodybuilder, per se.
yeah.
I mean, he won the New York because there was no one else that showed up, really.
Yeah.
When we were there. Like, but
Yeah.
that's, I mean.
Right place, right time. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, he just causes a lot of.
But doesn't it blow?
controversy.
Okay, you being younger,
Yeah.
does it just has to blow your mind that there's nobody in these guys' camp that's going to sit down and be like, listen, man, we got to get you training legs correctly. Like, nobody's doing that.
Or do you think they are
You
doing
got
that?
George
They're just not
Farah.
listening?
You got George Farah coaching him. Doesn't even fucking bring it up, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he just has the big ego and is like,
Maybe.
I know what I'm
guess,
doing.
I guess we don't know.
Maybe. We can't speak to anything on the inside of the camp, honestly, because we don't know.
I mean, I could ask him. I talk to him when I see him. I'll be like, has nobody told you to train fucking legs? I guess I could say that.
You could. So, but that was the deal. Yeah. And I just wanted to say that because I get personally annoyed because of where I am in bodybuilding. Like, I haven't competed. Like, I have no qualms in saying that right now. It's like, I haven't. So I don't really have a lot of, I can't really speak on the Olympia competitors with any sort of credibility other than just my opinion. But for where I sit, it's like I came up still in the last generation, the very last generation of kids coming up into bodybuilding, having any type of reverence for the people that were above you and came before you.
Yeah.
Knowing your place. It's like important.
Yeah.
And like part of the final generation that actually understands that, it rubs me really the wrong way. That it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to stomp you, Nick, or I'm going to stomp the rest of the lineup, or like talking about like he's going to beat Ramy or something. It's like, dude, you were in what, the fourth call out?
He was second to last. Yeah, he was in second to last.
Yeah.
I thought he was in the last call out. I didn't think he deserved to even be in the second to last.
Right. It's like second to last call out. It's like, yeah, sounds about right. And my cynical, angry nature about that stuff, because it honestly, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's like, you can start making a stink and making the storylines and being the media guy if you're in the mix and you've proven it and you're actually there and you're doing it. It's like, you know what? Because if I'm in that position at some point, I'm not going to be, fucking 25th in the Olympia placings and be like, oh, I'm going to take it.
Calling out Hottie.
Yeah, I'm going to call out Hottie right now. Like, no, I get there and you're like, okay.
It's basically the same as you calling out Hottie right now, having not competed.
Right. Right.
At least you have legs.
Right. Or you maybe like rewind it 2 years ago and then me having not competed going to Walker while we're training in the same gym, be like, yeah, I'm going to do nationals.
Coming for you.
Yeah, I'm going to do nationals and I'm just going to dust you.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen this year, bud.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you just give it a couple months. I'm going to crush you.
Yeah.
It's like, are you crazy right now? Yeah. Stop it. Yeah. Like, sit in the corner and take your licks. Like, for fuck's sake.
That's the only way he's making money, though. He knows that, too.
Yeah.
He has to know. His physique can't speak for his credibility, so he has to create his credibility through doing stupid shit like that.
Right. But it still doesn't.
I know.
It's getting annoyed.
I'm not justifying. I'm just saying, like,
you guys know how he got like insta famous, right? No, he was. Do you remember that? It was like a surveillance video.
Oh, the grocery
of the
store,
bodybuilder in the gas
station,
the grocery store, and he was like,
checking himself out in the mirror.
in the surveillance video above. He was flexing, posing, and that went like viral, and he became.
It did. I remember that.
He took off after that.
Like he did these like little gimmick videos like that.
Yeah, so
and
he's always been a personality.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Not controversy,
so
personality.
I think he knows. I think he's just trying to. Because I've talked to him like in a one-on-one setting, and he's cool that he's like talking to a normal person. Yeah, I think that he tries to. It's like the Muhammad Ali effect a little bit.
Right,
he's just not. He doesn't have the. To your point, the physique isn't.
Yeah,
I understand what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the body to do it yet. Muhammad Ali had the talent.
Yeah, at
the time, and if you want to switch out talent for the body.
Yeah,
in this. Conversation, he's just not there yet.
Yeah.
I think he gets it.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up. Oh, and another one, Crizzo. I was also.
Oh, yeah.
I was also.
He even ended up getting. Did he place at all?
I think it was either right at the top 10 or right outside the top. No.
Well, I knew he was in the top 10. So was he 11 through 15 though? Because they only placed 15.
I think he was right outside the top 10.
Was he?
Yeah,
I think so.
So
I'm pretty sure.
I was just happy in the same way about Blessing. It's like, I was just happy that after he was talking so much shit that he got pretty much stomped out of the placings that he said he was going to take.
Yeah,
I was happy with that.
by the veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy with that.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you've never even been in the real IFBB for
Exactly.
10 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So like, I am really a respect person.
Yeah.
And that is just the epitome of disrespect.
Yeah.
So you haven't stood on stage with these people.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting into.
Did you notice did you notice, I want to hear if you have an opinion on this. Ramy, Akeem, Ian, the lower lat, on all of them.
Yeah.
It's like gone.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's nothing there. What do you think that is?
The question would be whether they had it to start with.
Yeah.
All of them?
Maybe not Akeem, but his has gotten worse. But I feel like Ian and Ramy, yeah.
Well, Ramy's back has gotten worse.
Yeah, Ramy's back
progressively
has,
year
yeah.
to year.
Yeah, let's stick more with Ramy.
Yeah. So Ramy having it reduced, I mean, I would say likely he's just not doing anything bent over anymore.
But it's just like gone. Like it almost looks like both lats have been torn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility that happened as well.
Maybe they do just tear both lats.
Maybe he's just extremely restricted in what he could do at his shoulders.
I was talking to Phil Viz afterwards, actually, and he thinks it's injections.
You think?
That's what he said. He said that just the lat injections causes them to tear it. It causes both of them to tear, and hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing this. I guess I just I just did it anyways, but
Right.
I don't think he would care. But
Right.
that's his.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it could be.
But did you notice it? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I've especially.
But it doesn't look
noticed
like
on-
it's just a training flaw to me.
No, that's what I was trying to get to. Is that like it doesn't seem like something that could be really changed. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like especially for the example that I would make out of it as Akeem. So every time I've ever seen Akeem, it's been like his lats and his mid back.
Like Dennis Wolf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just high. I mean, and there's nothing he could do about that.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there really is anything that can be done. I don't think there's a training method that can change. I mean, it would make sense if Ramy had torn his lats, if that's the reason why that they were so different.
Yeah. That's what it looks like anyways.
If that's the case, then that would make some sense.
Like his back used to never be that bad. Like that bad.
Do you guys remember what he looked like when he won the New York Pro? Like in 2014?
Yeah.
No.
It was like night and day compared
Dude, if
to,
he looked like that.
I mean, his waist was smaller. He actually had a
Wild,
back.
yeah.
Like his lats weren't
He looked
up
incredible.
into his traps. Like he had a good physique.
He looked
right there.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how you can, just like the life cycle of a physique,
Right.
and it doesn't always and how placings correlate and
Right.
such. You know, it's just an interesting thing to look at because it's impossible to be. It's easy for people to sit back that don't know anything about bodybuilding and they're like, if Big Ramy would just stay the same. Like actually, I think Arnold said that.
He did. It's like
Yeah,
he
I
said,
saw-
stay the same, bring the waist down by 1 inch, grow the calves by 1 inch.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That sounds like Arnold.
How do you?
It's always
the
calf
calves.
to quad measurement or
Yep.
ratio, and yeah,
Calves
it
to
is
waist.
calves and waist.
Yeah.
Calves and waist.
Everybody, everybody said that.
Yeah.
How do you apply that? Like, what do you on a year-to-year basis? How are you like? All right, I'm just going to stay the same this year.
Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking dumb. So people don't get how this works. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
You keep
First
fighting.
of all, he's 8 years older.
Yeah. You got to keep fighting for it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You just keep fighting and doing the best. And at some point, you're gonna just regress, and that's just the way. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But until that happens, you just keep fighting.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it seems to be going for
Yeah.
a handful of the guys. Like,
I
get
said
older and
I
it
said
starts
that
to
we're
go.
gonna find out. I said we're gonna find out this year if Ramy is done or if he has more in him.
yeah.
Because I felt like last year they were kind of like saying, "Oh, he didn't train all year." It's like, okay, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I think
Yeah.
he probably was, and he was just off, and they're just kind of saying that. And so this year it's like, okay, he's training all year. Okay, fair. So we're either gonna see a version of Ramy that shows up that just blows everybody out of the water, and we're like, okay, it was really just him not training all year. This is him trying again, and he's still amazing and he's still dominant.
Yep.
Or we're going to see that what we saw last year was the first sign of that regression, like
Yeah.
the big time regression set in. And that's unfortunately what we saw. And he's saying that he's going to come back next year, I saw, but it's just, you can tell, like when you look at someone's body, it's just done.
Yeah.
I think it's just toasted.
Yeah. I think what I saw too is that there's some key areas that you can start to tell when people are starting to regress. It's not just looking at their legs either. It's like, how does their lower midsection look?
Yeah.
It's like, it's
That's
not
a
even
good
just like
point.
distension either.
No,
Cause like
it's-
that counts, but there's like
Yeah.
there's vascularity that starts to show up there.
Yep.
That doesn't look right
Yep.
at the lower abdomen,
Yeah.
right above where their trunks are.
Yep.
There was a lot of that there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like weird, like skin looked like it didn't sit right
Yeah.
on him in a lot of places.
You just start looking mangled.
Yeah.
That's a
You
good way to
start
put
looking
it.
worn out and mangled, and
Yeah.
that's just the look he's getting at. And there's unfortunately nothing that he can do about it now. It's just kind of
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. He'll probably take it another year, and then we'll find out if that really is the case or if just something horrific happened.
Yeah.
And it just was not going the right way.
Sean Clarita, how crazy did he look on the? Did you watch that?
Mhm.
212.
Mhm.
Were you impressed?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. But I will say, as amazing as he was, I will never have the same excitement seeing him as I did, like, what was it, 2 years ago?
When he first won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years ago when he came out, it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, you thought the look 2 years ago was better.
I don't know. I can't really say that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But just your view on him.
Yeah,
was-
because it was just come out of
and
nowhere.
it blew everybody away.
Yeah,
I know. I
he
know what
just
you're talking
walked
about.
out
you're-
front and
you're
was
just
like,
saying that
what is that?
Yeah,
Yep,
the
yep.
impact.
Yeah.
The impact that he had 2 years ago when he walked out was fucking. Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
fighting for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't exactly like that for me this time seeing him because I expected it.
Yeah.
It's like he's gonna be great, so I'm gonna expect to see.
Yeah,
that he's
yeah,
great.
it's because the expectations were there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I already knew he was gonna be fantastic. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, expected. He was
Yeah.
fantastic. Kind of like seeing Hottie. It's like seeing Hottie is like, yeah, that's Hottie. It's like he's pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I guess what you're speaking to is that's just the shift that Sean's made at this
Yeah.
point in his career
Yep.
in the life cycle of a competitor is he's now that dominant champion
Yes.
where it's expected.
Yep.
Yeah, because he
Yep.
came out and nobody was even close. He
Mhm.
kicked the shit out of everybody. But
Yep.
now it's kind of like, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, it's just Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Sean being Sean, kicking everyone's ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's probably gonna do it again next year and the year after that and the year after that and
Yeah.
until he shows some type of regression. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
But he just keeps on getting better.
he's never going to touch the weight cap.
No. Yeah.
And everyone else will size into the weight cap way before he does.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's probably going to be like a Chris. It's his title until he doesn't want it.
Yeah. Did you actually watch Classic or no?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Nobody's even close to Chris, huh?
No, just completely dominant.
Just completely.
There was, it was just Chris and everyone else was afterthought.
Chris
Which,
must not have any organs or something. Like, why does he look? How can he? Why does he look so much bigger than everybody else? Like,
I mean,
how
we
is
see
it?
him every day.
I mean, people make the
Like-
jokes about like hollow bones and shit, but like he must. There's something.
He's just built the right way.
He's just built the right way.
Yes.
The way that the muscle
He
just
just says all the right stuff.
Yeah, just all the bells and whistles.
He
are
just
there.
has it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just got all the bells and whistles that everyone wants.
It's like some guys
Got 'em
have
all.
a couple good things. He just has
All of it.
everything.
Because to me, he's the only classic guy that doesn't look lanky.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every other
That's a good way to
classic
put it.
guy, to me, when I look at it, I'm like small bodybuilder that needs to fill out his frame.
Yes.
When I look at Chris, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that's how you dominate 65 guys in a class.
Yeah.
And he's the only one out of 65 that you look at and you're like, that's amazing. Everybody else I can pick apart. Like they just look too thin
Yep.
still.
Yep.
So, like, it wouldn't even matter if they had a weight cap or not. I don't think anybody would beat him.
Yeah. And I think for the class itself, I think that speaks to what actually it was intended to be.
Yeah.
Do. Or what I, as a bodybuilding purist, I would like it to be.
Yeah.
Is a better way to say it. Is I would like to see it be actually for the people that are like Chris, that just have it.
Yeah.
That are most like have it be a protected class of bodybuilders that we don't want to see go to open, because to take them there,
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I was just
would
gonna
ruin
follow up.
them.
But
Yeah.
instead, it's been the opposite.
Right.
Talk about that for a second. It was these guys all doing
Yeah.
this mindset, and this is why when I get people competing at the local or regional level, and they're like, and they're talking about doing classic, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
just do bodybuilding. They call it open. I'm like, you don't need to call it open. You're an amateur, okay?
Yeah.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's something else too. It's like if you're an amateur, it's split up by weight classes. It is not open.
Yeah. And these guys, what I say is you guys are comparing yourself to people at the top people at nationals and the top people at the Olympia in open level bodybuilding.
Yep.
So quit saying open, just say bodybuilding.
Yep.
And just go there. For one, from a sheer numbers perspective, you have a better chance of winning.
Yes.
Okay? Because there's way less people doing it. All right? But that's not why I'm saying do it.
Yeah.
Overall, the mindset needs to shift, and more people need to just do it. But this mindset is, I'm not big enough to do open as an amateur, shouldn't exist. That should not be, that's not the correct mindset, because to your point, classic physique should be a protected, that's a great way to put it. Just like I steal a bunch of other shit from you. I'm stealing that from you. It should be a protected class where it is a criteria of having just that beautiful aesthetic.
Yep.
You just have it.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. You have it, and it should be a bunch of those guys going at it, not guys like TAVISH saying, I'm a skinny super heavyweight, so I'm going to do classic.
Yeah.
You are not classic physique.
I was stressed out for a long time. That's why I was skinny. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, would you think like it would almost be like an invitation, like if you're looking for specific criteria and protected? I mean, how would you? I'm just curious.
Well,
I don't know
think you have
how-
a better. Do you have a better way to word what I just said? You probably do. That's what I was looking at.
Well, that was a good way to say it.
I was just piggybacking off of him. That's why I was curious.
Yeah. I don't know how we would do that necessarily.
It's a good idea. I mean, it's smart.
That's just an idealistic thing.
Well, yeah,
Really is what it is. Ideally, I would like it to be, because what was the actual point of creating classic as a class anyway, if we were thinking about it ideally? It's like we had conversations on every single major show by every single commentator, like, oh, this guy was so good before he got so big.
Yeah, his waist.
And he
is
ruined
blowing
his
up.
lines.
Yeah,
Waist.
his waist.
Ruined his lines.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, so now we have classics so that they don't. Okay, so why don't we just have those people with these beautiful lines that we don't want to ruin by having them be forced by needing to be competitive to go up to 240, 250, 260 on stage? So, okay, well, we have classic for them now.
Yeah.
So it should be, okay, well, these guys that are just this good that we don't want to ruin by having them be forced to compete against the guys that are the top open competitors. You have those people with the class that is specifically made not to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of what it is and what this is, the disconnect between, and actually it's not even a disconnect anymore, because there's a lot of classic guys that are sizing up anyway.
Yeah.
That are moving from classic into 212.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so kind of proving the point that classic is just a feeder into bodybuilding, or if you're just too small, like for bodybuilding, you just do classic instead.
Yeah, people were saying like it cannibalized,
Yeah.
bodybuilding. Well, it may have at first, obviously, because it's a new class, more people. But I think what you said now, it's getting back into okay.
Yeah,
They're growing into the frame slowly.
Yes.
They're not. So I think that's what it is. Like you don't say go from
like Brett
size A to
Wilkin.
size B. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The progression that should take place.
But you know what I mean? Before when guys would push it so hard, so fast to
But-
get to bodybuilding.
But Brett Wilkin could have been dumb and been like, I just want to do classic. Like I want to, like it's a culture.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
guys are, it's like bikini culture, but
Right.
for guys.
Right. And that's the problem, because that's at the amateurs, like what you're pointing to is I don't want to be in the open. You're not going to be in the open.
Yeah,
to be
you're right.
bodybuilding,
You
'cause you're
won't
an
be in the
amateur.
open. You're not going to get a pro card.
You're going to be
Yeah.
a middleweight
Yeah.
against other middleweights.
Okay, so it's like, okay, you're going to compete as an amateur one way or the other. Do you want to do it as classic or as open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want your designation to be based off of your height, or do you want it to be based off of your weight and you're wearing different trunks and doing different poses?
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Is what in reality it does.
Yeah.
But then all of them think in the same way that we had already talked about before. It's like everybody in the world wants to be Chris, which credit to him. Chris is awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris is fantastic.
I wish I was Chris.
Yeah. Chris is a great competitor. He's a great dude.
Awesome.
Super awesome.
Super awesome.
So, I mean, credit to him, but at the same time, like, nobody has a concept anymore. Like, any of the young people, it's just like, I'm just going to do classic. Like, and you know what? I will say it. I have people that have come to me with inquiries for coaching.
Do you think that they're like in the back of their head, they're not going to admit this, but do you think it's like a comfort thing? They're like, it's going to be easier.
Maybe to a point, but I would have to think so after going to however many shows I've been to now, especially amateur shows, and then seeing the lineups for classic. Be like, there's exactly 2 of you in the entire show that are classic.
That should be classic, yeah.
Yeah. 2.
Yeah.
Out of 140.
Yeah.
Because you people are ridiculous. Because you have waists wider than a freaking fridge. Your clavicles are like half of the width of that. You have no arms, no delts. You have maybe a little bit of back tissue, only upper back because you have 0 lats.
What you're describing is a potato.
And you have terrible legs. It's like, yes, it is.
That's what it sounds like you're describing as a
Throw
potato.
some classic trunks on a Mr. Potato Head, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying it's the like, I don't even know what term to use. Not irrational view, but like they think of themselves as looking like classic when they need someone in their corner, like Matt says, they'd be like,
it's
dude,
square peg, round hole.
Yeah.
there, yeah.
But there's something to that, though, that you're saying, Tav, is that there's this magic veneer over competing.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
No matter what you're looking like right now, you get to stage, you're going to look totally different. That's what people's perception is.
Yep.
It's like you could look like Fridge Man, and then, 4 months from now, when you get on stage, you'll be totally different. Maybe you're the best classic competitor that's ever hit an amateur stage. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's what people think. And so they actually go through with it.
So do you think it's like a validation thing that hey, I competed, or is it just they're completely just
Dude,
they don't?
I think there's both.
They got wool over their eyes and they can't see what.
Dude, there's got to be both. Because like what he was saying is there's a culture.
That's what I'm getting at. Is
Yeah.
the social media, the culture. Like you've competed, you're validated, you have some type of notch in your belt that says, "Hey, I stepped on stage," but you looked about as
Yeah.
What we're
not the
seeing
Rocks,
is
that's a mission, but
as
the
well
petition-
as well shaped,
as
rock.
that salt land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the other part of the culture that I was actually thinking you were referring to is that there's almost like a myopia around it. It's like you only count as a competitor if you're classic.
that's that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's true.
What we're seeing is the phenomenon of like Chris is to the point now where he's so famous that it's reaching these people that they're like creating this idea that they're just like, I want to do what Chris Bumstead does.
Yeah.
And so that means I have to do classic.
Yeah.
Because that's all they know. They don't even know anything. They don't know shit about fuck.
Yeah. Don't know anything about
They
real
just
bodybuilding.
know,
Yeah.
No,
they just know
classic.
that they want to identify as the same thing as Chris, and like that's the impact he's having.
Yeah. Which, love Chris to death. He's amazing. But the broccoli head wave,
That he has brought with him.
Broccoli heads.
yep.
Check
That
out my
he's-
ear,
that has-
bro.
And it's not really his fault. It
It's
really
not his
isn't.
fault at
No,
all.
it's-
He's
that's
just
not
the
his
dude's
fault.
I know the
just being
demographic
himself.
you're
Yeah.
talking about.
It's not his fault.
Yeah, like he's just being himself, and then there's just this wave of like, it's like, and we're not saying it to talk shit. It's just like
No.
as to watch this and analyze it, like
Yeah.
is amazing.
But I think you're right. Like they built that culture themselves. Chris is
Yes.
just like this.
He's a figurehead.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they built it by themselves. And he's just kind of like, oh my God. What?
Yeah. But think about it. Like you guys being in the older generation, I'm most certainly not.
Yeah.
The difference is that you guys kind of live in reality. And you don't understand the fact that
Yeah.
people younger than you, like my generation, do not live in objective reality. Like in any way, shape, or form.
How do they live?
They live in the world that's created for them or by them on the internet. Is where their entire worldview is. All of it.
On a digital platform.
So what happens? Like you guys understand bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
You came up, well, bodybuilding was really bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was it. Yeah,
exactly.
that's all you had.
Right. And then you
Yeah.
saw the progression as things changed, and you saw as they were adding classes and what was going on with the decision making, and like you actually had your ears to the ground and watching it. And you were a part of it, and you were a part of the actual community, talking to each other in the actual community, building something out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't see the genesis of it like
It was a brotherhood, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know where what my generation does, and part of
No.
the reason why you see so many of those classic competitors up there that are not classic, they literally have zero idea that any of the rest of it exists.
Like
That's the
Like-
vibe.
like a
I'm-
bikini figure. Well, like what do you
Well,
mean? Like
they don't really understand the fact that it's all there.
Yeah.
Like what is different about it? It's just so different to them. They don't get exposed to it. Because what do they get when they actually claim they're a classic competitor? They get to be the awakened bruh that does classic.
all right.
And that's like the attractive thing to be right now.
Yeah,
Well, men's
sadly.
physique too. Men's physique is the same. Men's physique is its own culture as well.
Yeah, but that's
I
a
think
different
classic is worse
That's
than
it,
was.
yeah, that's
Men's
its
physique
own-
was.
one. Physique
Yeah.
was bad.
Yeah, that was like now it's classic. That's
Classic is
taking-
the bad one now.
You're right though. Men's physique went through it.
But
for a long time.
all. But what I'm saying is they're all different
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
subcultures.
100%. Yeah,
It's
Yes.
just, it's a remarkable thing to watch.
Yep.
it really is though. Like if you, like if you did a documentary on each,
Each culture.
and
Yeah.
you'd
They're
all
all
be
their
like,
own
"What
culture.
the
Yep. And I guarantee you, if we actually had a documentary done directly of trying to get the scope of all of bodybuilding, every single person in every single class would be like, what the fuck is this? This is not it.
Yeah. It's like, looking at the other classes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they were trying to generalize,
Yeah.
looking at like
Yeah.
one and then another for a detail in this and a detail on them,
Yeah.
thinking that they're going to get like a woven tapestry of what this whole thing is by taking a perspective from somebody in bikini and in figure and then in men's physique and then classic and then open and 212, and like they take a little bit from everybody and figure that they have the whole thing figured out. Every single one of us would be like, Jesus, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. You got everything wrong.
Isn't it wild that there's that much diversity in a subculture that's already like this
Yeah.
small?
Yep.
That's this minuscule.
Yeah.
Like, and then to the general public, we're all the same.
Yep.
And then when you start breaking it down, when you're in it, it's like what you're saying.
Yep. And then there's even further cutoffs of niches as you get further
Yeah.
and deeper into it.
Yeah.
It's like because we're in bodybuilding. We really care about bodybuilding.
Yep.
Well, there's going to be people in bodybuilding that we really don't agree with
Yep.
in the way that they do things. And it's going to be the same thing with all of them.
Yep. Speaking of other categories, did you guys watch women's physique?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was there at
Did
pre-judgment. I screamed, man. That's why my voice is all raspy now.
And-
because I scream so loud.
About 0.3 seconds after I saw the placings, I sent you a message about good job on.
Yeah, you did. You're
Yeah.
the first person to text me.
I had to be.
Actually, you were the first.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I sent the text before she even walked off.
Yeah, I think you probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. How'd you think she looked?
She looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked good. I think when I was looking at it, I thought personally, I know that you disagree. I thought that third was where she was supposed to be. And we're talking about
I can see where I understand why they put her third. Like I totally get it.
yeah,
But where I'm coming from is if you have women's bodybuilding
Right.
and you have women's physique, which is in my mind what you have men's open bodybuilding and you have classic physique, there should be some kind of similar discrepancy there.
mm-hmm.
And I think that she embodies what I think most people in their minds think women's physique should be. Because who was the first women's physique champion? Dana Lynn Bailey, right?
Yeah.
And not that, we've obviously evolved beyond her physique, but Brooke to me embodies exactly what that division should be when you think about it. And you can tell the way that she walks, the way that she moves. She's still extremely feminine. Not that these other girls are not, but I'm just saying she stands out to me more than everybody else. And I'm obviously probably very biased.
Yes.
I totally understand that too.
We didn't actually say this, but Brooke Walker, third in physique at the Olympia is Matt's client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess.
But I think you're right. No, she embraced it. So this thing is what you're talking about, is right?
But
She embraces every
see-
part of that division.
Yeah. So I
of girls don't.
understand. I understand why they place her third.
yeah,
But I think from a bodybuilding perspective, I do think that we can, with another year, with your help.
Yep.
I have enlisted you to help bring up her back. If we bring up her back and get her, if I can get her conditioning, not if, it's going to be another year
yeah,
long process, because she's never had hamstring and glutes just like diced.
yeah,
You know, and that's just always been her problem area. And when you deal with people like that, it's a process.
yeah,
And some people never get it for whatever reason. Obviously, so there's some kind of genetic component involved with that, right? And no matter what you do, you just cannot get the glutes and hamstrings of, say, Natalia that won,
yeah.
right? But
And she was incredible.
and she was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, hats off to her and
Yeah.
Andrew. They brought it.
Yeah,
And Vu told me that she was 10 pounds. I mean, she's 10 pounds heavier. You could see it
yeah,
from this year to last year.
yeah. She was big.
And so I knew that she was going to be really hard to beat. Like, I saw some pictures 6 weeks or 8 weeks ago, and it was like, fuck.
Yeah,
At that point, I was just like, wow, hopefully I don't fuck this up. You know, because I knew that Brooke got third last year, and it was like, it kind of put me in like a nervous spot, because I was like, I'm seeing Natalia is, but like, to beat those two, even though she's improved drastically, like,
yeah,
there's a chance she could have done worse,
yeah,
which was my ultimate fear.
yeah,
Like, I could do everything perfect, and I could have her better, which
Yeah.
she was,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean she's going to get third or do better,
right.
you know?
Yeah,
So I was just happy that she got better and she placed third. The judging, you know, like I said, I get it, why she placed where she placed, but
Yeah.
mostly I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to talk about, because I know that she won't do this, and I wanted to have Faith make a clip about this, of me talking about this, to just like give her a shout out, because she won't talk about it. I mean, Tavish got to be around her a lot, and just being there, just like being her, dude, she's a superstar, and people love her. I mean, so many people come up to her, and she had a freaking army there of people.
She did.
And that
It was
says
a big group.
she had a big group, man.
big
And that
group.
says a lot. You know, like, there's a lot of these competitors that come to these shows, you know, and nobody shows up. They don't have anybody there.
yeah,
And, you know, but like, these people that have an army behind them, I think it says
yeah,
a lot about their character. And the part that I want to talk about for her is just the shit that she went through, like, for this prep, because I know she's not going to talk about it, is, you know, her stepdad, who basically raised her, you know, she let me know that he wasn't doing well. And then maybe like a couple weeks ago, she let me know they had moved him to hospice. And then he actually died Tuesday before the show. And so, you know, and she was dealing with that and other family stuff that she was dealing with. And like, dude, it didn't phase her at all. I mean, I'm sure it did internally.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is she was able to, you know, suppress all that and deal with it and compartmentalize it. And, you know, I would always be like, well, if you need to talk, like, let me know. Like, I need to,
yeah,
you know, I'm not really sure as a coach. I'm not sure,
yeah,
you know, really what to say or what I need to do. But I need you to know, like, if you need to talk about it, whatever you need, if you want to just pretend like it's not even happening and you want to just carry on, we can do that too. But if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. And she's like, I understand that. I appreciate that. I'm fine. You know, like, I'm just used to operating like this. And that's her energy, man. Like, what was her energy like?
I've never seen people in such a large amount gravitate towards one person. Like, like, even just escorting her out of like the athlete meet and greet, and she would just be walking and people would just yell her name, whatever, and she would just perk up and say hi. It's not like she would stop and talk. It was just people just wanted to.
And she genuinely loves everybody.
Yes, there was no like. I mean, I asked her. I said, "Do you want me to like tell people to like fuck off. Like, you have all these, like, some of the creepy guys that I thought were, like, coming up. I mean, she was like, no, they're just,
she's got a lot of schmoes that come up.
you know, but she treats everybody the same. There's no bias towards anyone that she meets. She's the same person, every single, like, every person that she meets, she is the same all across the board.
And just unlimited energy.
And if I didn't know about what she went through, you never would have known that she had stuff going on. You would have no clue.
And I want to get her on here to have her on the podcast to tell her story, because it's pretty. I'm not going to talk about it at all. That's her business to share, but I would like, you know, like going way back, like to where she came from, and you'll be able to, people will make sense of like why she is the way she is and the path that she chose and the decisions that she makes and how she lives her life, because she really is like, you know, like me and you, and we're all like anti-phony. She ain't no phony. And like her story needs to be told, but she's not going to tell it unless you pry it out of her.
Yeah.
You know, she just kind of goes on Instagram and does her thing and reposts the things people tag her in and throws her shit up. But she's busy living life, like real life.
Yeah.
You know, making an impact, and she goes to the gym and she's training people, and she's not caught up in all the hoopla.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just talk about her for a minute. And, you know, she's, when you say has it in regards to Chris, Brooke has it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about that I thought was interesting was this was my first taste of working with someone with that level of genetics.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this with Austin yesterday, but I'm probably the only coach that would maybe say this out loud, but like, because most coaches would take the transformation that she made from last year to this year, and they wouldn't really talk about this. They would just want the attention and be like, ooh, look what I did. Look what I did.
Right.
But I'm also, you know, I'm also not naive to the fact that I know that I played a big role in that.
Right.
But that only worked because she's so genetically elite, man. Like everything that I had her do works. I'm aware enough to know that I played a huge role in it, but I'm also aware enough to know that we got the transformation we got because of her genetics and also because of her ability to execute and how hard she works.
Yeah.
So that's what people are seeing when people are like, you know, because I'm going to get this wave of girls now I know that are going to be like, I want to make me Brooke Walker. Yeah. And I'm going to have this conversation with a lot of girls where it's like, okay, like, I feel like a lot of coaches would take that and not say anything because then it's just like a money grab.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have a conversation with a lot of girls where it's like, I understand that, but you're not Brooke Walker.
Yeah.
She has this it factor that, you know, you may or may not have.
Yep.
But all we can do, you know, what we're seeing is a product of her just doing things optimally for a longer period of time. Yeah. And then talking about ceilings, like what excites me that most people don't know is her ceiling is still like up here, and she's still here because there's so much that we can teach her within training. Like she still has no idea how to train, man. She's just gotten there just through working hard where she's at now. And then now that she's had me for a year, that's gotten better. Yeah. But there's still things that we can make perfect. Yeah. And then, you know, like on the supplement side of things, extremely conservative, you know, so there's room for improvement across the board. And that's what I'm excited about, because we should be able to, you know, you and I together really create something to where I think she can come back next year. And it's like this year was, even though she got third last year, it was like, okay, great job, she's amazing, she arrived. But like this year it was like put a stamp on that, and it's like now she's coming to win, and there just needs to be more of her to do that, especially from the back. Yep. And if we show up next year with that, I think that she can win, and I think that she will be the standard for that division. So it's just a matter of time. But I thought it was interesting to the point of genetics, where it's just like there's one angle you can take where it's like that a lot of coaches that don't have genetically elite people are like, well, anybody could do that with that person. A monkey could have got them there. Yeah. Okay, maybe, but also I feel like it does take a certain skill set to deal with people that have genetics like that. To my point, I would say I wanted a Ferrari. Right. I got one. But you still, when you have a Ferrari, you still have to not crash the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a skill in of itself.
Yeah.
And so there were just a lot of things I noticed that it's almost like with that. And I think that the most relatable way that you could think about this is maybe like other professional athletes in other sports, like in the NFL, for instance, is the strength and conditioning coach's job at that level is they're not having them Olympic weight lift. They're not pushing them like they would have in high school or in college. At that point, it's like, you're so talented and gifted. Now I have you. They're teaching them very basic things, and they just want them to take care of themselves and control their body composition and just have them be healthy. Yeah. So it's almost like, how can I get you and then keep you healthy and not fuck you up? Yep. And with people in our sport, it's kind of no different. You know, you're basically taking them and not fucking them up. Yeah. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing. And kind of that's a skill in of itself as well. And even when it comes into like peak week, I notice with her, it's just like, and I think with like a lot of people at that level is, and we hear people talk about this all the time, is don't fuck up your peak week, don't change anything in your peak week, and blah, blah, blah. And while it's not necessarily true that you don't change anything at all, you don't just start fucking throwing darts at the wall and hoping that they stick or whatever the saying is. And that's what a lot of people do. So it was just like, it was a fun experience to get to like a taste of what it's like to work with someone with genetics like that, because like everything that you do works, but you still need to know what to do. Yeah. So I'm kind of giving myself and kind of not giving myself credit at the same time.
Yeah. Which is the right way to do it.
Yeah. It's called being humble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's just evaluating what it is, the truth the truth of what it is.
Yes, but at the same time, you also know that you're saying it this way because you're trying to be artful about the way that you're approaching it. You're giving the reality of the situation, but you could also say, like, because it's still true, yeah, I did that. But you're giving all the caveats because they're real.
Yeah, but I hate when people do that.
Exactly. So, like, but what you're not doing is, like, you're not self-deprecating is what you're not doing. So you're not self-deprecating, be like, oh, it's not me. It's just like, she's just fantastic. It's like, no, you did your job. You did it right. You did what the coach is supposed to do. Yeah. And she is just fantastic. Yeah. So it just is what it is. And so you're putting all of that out there instead of just like your point in bringing it up in the first place. You're not going to be the coach. It's like, hey, look what I did. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate that shit.
Yep.
I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, let's wrap this up. I want you to answer the one question. You've had 3 hours now to think about it. The viewer that asked us, we had a viewer ask me, I don't remember what episode it was, one of the ones we did, and we're talking about figure out what your values are. Mm-hmm. They asked specifically, how did they word it? I don't want to get this wrong. I think they just said just that. What does figure out your values mean? So I wanted to hear your input on what you had to say with that. You started to talk about it out there. What were you drumming up? Because I think that's what probably the person needs to hear.
Yeah. So I had a hard time figuring this out myself for a while. And it's actually one of the questions that Kat, my girlfriend of 2 years, for anyone that doesn't know, when we were first talking and everything, like that was one of the things that she would ask me a lot. It's like, what are your values? Like, I don't know what you mean. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things that's so broad yet so specific that you don't even know how to come up. You don't even know how to define it.
Yeah,
so
and it's something that
it sounds like a dumb.
That.
It sounds like
right.
Like, how often do you think about my values are? Like, you never think about that.
Right.
Until somebody asks you, and then you're kind of dumbfounded because you don't know how to answer, like you just said.
Yeah, so the fact that you don't know how to answer it is actually, you could look at this question and be like, oh, that's a dumbass question. What do you mean? How do you figure out your values? What are your values? Like, what do you mean? Like, but it's actually not that dumb of a question when you sit and analyze it.
So I think,
how do you figure them out?
I think what it comes down to is you got to ask the questions of what drives you. What do you have that you don't want to lose? What do you want in the future that you don't ever want to see go away? And what are you willing to do to protect the things that matter to you? And what are those things that you want to protect? I think that's it.
I knew you'd come up with something.
That's a
Yeah.
really good list. That's a really good list.
Yeah.
That's how you form your values.
Yeah, we don't know. If you haven't thought about it, like the person that's asking the question, how do you figure it out? It's like, it's a really hard question for you to nail down because it's very broad, but it's also something that is ever present for all of us. Everything we do is based off of our values, but it's kind of unconscious. So, and then people that have values that we would look at and be like, they obviously don't have very good values, or they don't have family values, or they don't like this, that, the other. You can see through their actions.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask them, it's not really like, well, screw my family. It's like, because they're out doing whatever they're doing that would look badly on anybody that's around them. It's not the way that they're thinking, but it is part of the way that their life is put together, just because the driving force behind what they're doing and how they're acting all the time is based off of the values that they hold and what's most important to them. So
Yeah.
for a lot of people, I mean, biggest thing is, what's your value? What do you want to protect? Yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you value most is like, most likely it's going to be yourself. But then a lot of people don't have they don't have a good way of understanding themselves either, or what really the finality of their life is either. So it's not so much like base preservation a lot of the time, other than just monetary scarcity is one of those things. Makes you very aware of what the things that you value and what you have to protect. But people that aren't necessarily in that position, or they are and it's generational rather than having it happen in just one lifetime, it changes the way that your values are put together and how you act. It's like somebody that's lived in scarcity and it's generations of scarcity and people have come up with that mindset. It's not going to be like acquiring money to actually get out of it. It's acquiring money by any means for protection.
Yeah.
And so you could say that they don't have very good values. Like, then this would be like somebody that grows up in a place like Fort Dodge. Yeah.
I'd say parts of it. Yeah, for sure.
And you just got to do what you got to do to survive, right?
That's like Maslow's hierarchy. Like your hierarchy is you protect yourself, then you can protect others, and then,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But then there's also this weird dynamic that we have in our world at this point that it's not as clear cut as that, because we don't all live in objective reality all the time.
Yeah.
There's an out. There's another reality that you can opt into for whatever period of time that you're willing to be there. And since that's the case, there's a really easy escape that you can kind of, whenever there's a thought about what it is that's you actually have to contend with in a real objective reality, you can have an escape to something else. There's another place that can reinforce the kind of thinking that you do have when it's not grounded in anything. It's just grounded in an out of body type of thing. Like another person's idea is then the driving force behind what you do and what your values are, and you're appropriating their values to be your own. It's like, here's an example: music.
I gotcha.
Yeah, you were looking at me confused.
But no, at first I was like,
Yeah.
what? Then it's like, okay.
Like music. It's like, okay, well, it's an escape, right? But a lot of the music that is the most popular and is most listened to is get money, get girls, do drugs. That's it.
That's about it.
That's literally,
Yeah, like that's all of it, and it actually embodies like what people that don't actually think about it critically don't understand, and most people don't think about it critically. Is that the people that are saying those things, it almost, because all of us as human beings, we create an archetype and a caricature of whatever person we see based off of whatever input we get. Doesn't matter if you did the extra searching to figure that out or not. You're going to take whatever is representative of what their thought process is and then create a caricature of who that person is based off of that. You'll extrapolate from the data you have for the data you don't every time. And so you're somebody that has, not a great environment to facilitate you having real grounded values that are going to be good for you and everyone around you from now until the time that you're leaving the earth. Then you could have the out of body, the caricature of somebody else that is successful objectively, that is telling you all of these things, and you kind of make a caricature of them like, this is what their life is, this is what their existence is, this is how I can live my life and I can get there.
yeah.
But then it creates another generation of people that never get out of the rat race of, living in a life that's not fulfilling, and it's scary and it's animalistic in a lot of ways. Like, it's just living off of base impulse, because that's what it is. chasing women, doing drugs, getting money. It's base desires. It's all
that's
impulse.
all desires. That's all living life by going after desires.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if
vices.
And then if you have models in your life that are like actually there and seem like they're successful, and like if that's the example of what you have as success and they're happy,
that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, was Juice WRLD happy?
Apparently not.
No.
Apparently not. Yeah.
No, but still, like, people won't put that together.
Right.
They won't.
Right.
And so that's an easy example, is just through music, because it's so impactful, and it is another person's voice telling you things, and you're assimilating it, even if you don't think you are.
Yeah.
Is Juice WRLD a rapper?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. I don't.
No. That's okay.
He killed himself.
Okay.
Yeah. OD'd,
whatever.
Yeah. Either way.
He always talked about killing himself, right?
Well, he always talked about, like, it's actually kind of sad in his specific case. I wasn't even a fan of his when he was alive, actually. I actually got into it later on and listened to some of it. And with the weight of his death added to the music, it made a lot of sense, because there was a lot of music that was talking about, like, I'm only here for the people that listen, and pretty soon I will be dead. Yeah. And that was that was a theme in all of it. And so, like, there's a lot of people that will listen to that, and it's not even just that, it's like everything that is like in that same realm.
And if that's all you're listening to, the undertone of that
yeah,
is going to have an impact on your subconscious mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to pull it back away from that specific example so we don't further rabbit hole it, it's what your values are. It's like, it's going to be an implicit thing that you don't necessarily understand if you're just not thinking about it often.
Yeah.
It's shaped for you based off of what impulses you have to follow for you to continue to survive. That's the first thing. And then once you get past the point of surviving, you need to rethink what your values are for you to get past surviving into thriving. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And so people are going to have different values while they're surviving than when they're trying to actively get away from just surviving and into something else. And I can speak to that specifically me, that when Kat and I first got together, like, I couldn't really say what my values are.
No,
I couldn't. I was completely baffled on how to answer that question. It's like, I don't, like, what's important to me? Like, religion wasn't important to me. Family was not entirely all that important to me, other than really my mom specifically.
Yep.
Because honestly, like, a lot of my family had turned their backs on mine, my direct family. So I was like, well, fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then really the only other thing was, how am I going to be successful to make, my family okay? That was really the only other thing. And so with those things that were the undercurrents, and then me living in scarcity my entire life, then my upbringing the way it was, it's like, I know nothing but survival.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I will put myself through hell and back over and over and over again, to the point that it will kill me, to protect the people around me, and then provide for the people that I actually care for.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Like, that was the only value I had.
Mm-hmm.
And really the base of it was just, I need to survive to see tomorrow. That's it. So at that time, that was all I had. And as things continue to progress,
how would you answer it now?
I mean, some of that is still the same.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, it's a lot less about, because specifically, like, I'll talk about it from a scarcity aspect, is that I'm at a position right now where I'm starting to see the outer cusp, where I'm not where you are or where you guys are, like, financially. So I'm not free in that aspect. Like, I'll see the money come in and I'll see it all disappear, and me back down to, like, being worried about whether or not things are going to work in a week or two from now, like, every month. And it's been like that for as long as I've been alive, for all of my recollection. So that hasn't changed. But the way that I go about trying to get out of that is different, because my values are now different than just, how am I going to see tomorrow? It's like, how am I going to actually get myself out of the place where I have to put myself on the line necessarily for me to make that happen? Because it's always been at any cost.
Yeah.
At any cost. And I've talked about this, I think I've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah.
Is that in college, I put myself into the hospital a handful of times. because I pushed myself so far. And there was one of those times that I was in acute kidney failure.
Yeah.
Like, I'd very well, if I kept going instead of actually doing the smart thing and going to the hospital when I did, I probably could have ended up like dying.
Yeah.
Very likely could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not only one time of that. And I'm pretty sure the one person that would actually be able to speak on it would never speak on it. But the girlfriend at the time, back then, would vouch. It's like, I didn't give a shit. Did not care. As I was sitting there at my desk, having to get my work done so that I could get my grades, so that I could be successful, so that I could save my family from being in poverty forever, and watching my mom die an early death from stress and overwork, didn't care. I was in kidney failure, still writing up a project.
Just push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told her, I was like, when I'm done with this, I'll go. And if I die before then that's the way it goes.
If you make it to the end of the project, yeah.
Yeah. If I make it to the end of this project, cool. Send it off, I'll go to the hospital.
Yep.
But I'm not getting up until then. If I die before that, that's just the way it goes.
Well, that's how you can tell you're stubborn in your values, too.
Yep.
Whether it's at that point or when they change.
Yep.
Like, you've been to that extreme because that was your value. Like, if it changes or adjusts, obviously, which it did, you'd still be that stubborn to protect your family and protect yourself. Well, not yourself with the kidney failure, but you were sacrificing what your health was for the betterment of your family, which is a good value.
Yep.
You know, as far as protecting your family. So that says a lot from your standpoint, which I don't think, I mean, you can't really find many people, if at all, that would be able to say the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like you said before, when you think about values, you think about yourself. Yeah. It's almost like they might have gotten to a certain point of feeling unwell, not to the point of renal failure, but they'd be like, all right, that value is being pushed aside. Yep. I'm becoming priority. Yep. You know, but
yeah, or they would tell that story like he is and just completely exaggerate.
Or that, yeah, they would totally bend the.
But the thing is when you know people like Nick
that's what I was just going to get to.
Doesn't exaggerate.
No.
That's not an exaggeration. If
No.
he's saying that, like, you know,
that's what I mean by
big difference.
You can't find people that would say that and be 100%
and it's genuine.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it was. Not I had a tummy ache. Yeah. But I'm going to make it sound like
I almost died. Yeah, providing for my mom.
Yeah.
Like,
I still have the blood work and the urinalysis from that.
Yeah. So
I was in a bad place. Anyway, so as things have changed and gone over time, like the 5 things that I came up with there for what your values are, I mean, I've kind of gone through unconsciously, not thinking about it through that lens, but just kind of trying to actively at this point in my life, trying to shift that.
Yep.
So that I can think more about all of those things, like looking at where I came from, what I want to protect, what I've always wanted to protect, what I want to have in my future, who I want to have in my future, what I have to do and how I have to behave to be able to provide that to happen. What kind of life do I actually want to live? Which is the question that I never allowed myself to ask, which is really the one thing that changed, other than me also thinking, because I was dead set that I wasn't going to live past 25 because of what I was doing to myself, that it didn't matter who was really in my life, and I didn't really care. It's like, I've told you, I don't know how many times, like, you were my first real friend, like best friend that I actually shared my entire life with.
Yeah.
And had that kind of like interpersonal connection with on that level. Because I shut myself away from everybody for my entire life. Because I had already known, like, okay, like, I just got to do what I got to do. And that's it. And I know it's probably not going to go well. And then as things kept going, and I already knew I was going to do bodybuilding too. So at like 17, I already knew that. And I was already making the plans for that happening. I went through college, and in college, I started using PEDs and everything. And I was like, okay, well, I'm still going to run my life the way it's going to have to be ran, but I'm trying to chase a dream too. And if I have a limited time to chase this dream, it just is what it is. So with the health already being what it was, didn't really care. Like, okay, if this kills me, it kills me. Which we've talked about on the podcast too.
Yeah. Episode 1, yeah.
Yeah, because I can only speak on it because I was there.
Yeah.
Did not care.
Yeah.
There's actually a part of me that was hoping it would.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all been there, I think.
Yeah. Because the thing that I was trying to protect was so huge to me. And what I had to do was so huge on a daily basis, and the kind of things that I had to just put up with for me to just make it through another day was so much.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. If that's it, that's it.
Yeah. But it's like,
It's been changing for me, especially more recently.
yeah.
Especially like getting, it was probably like half a year ago, like especially in my relationship with Kat. It's like getting to this point, it's like I have to think about like real future stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so like, I have to actually be present, and I have to think about like what that's going to have to look like. And it's not just about me like sending enough money home. It's about actually being present in a life that matters,
That's right.
and having friends that I care about.
Yeah.
That actually matters for me to be.
Yeah. Your mom's going to be much more happy to have you here
Yes.
living on the fucking side of the road together if you have to, or in a van.
Yeah.
Versus you killing yourself to send her money, you know?
Yep.
So I think you're turning in a good corner.
Yeah. Yeah. And we brought it up on that episode for what your values are, because it's a value proposition that you get into in any relationship you ever have.
Well, we were talking about finding your identity.
Right. But we were talking about it through the lens of like, for you to figure like whether or not you're going to partake in what kind of any relationship, emotional, business, or like interpersonal directly for friends.
Yeah.
We were talking about it like that.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in any sort of a arrangement of any kind, you kind of have to know what your values are.
Yeah.
That's how you find out who you are, because there's enough reflections of who you are and what your values are through everyone else that's around you and all the events that happen.
Yeah.
And so you don't really know what your values are until you have to sit and think about it, or the world sits you down and tells you,
Forces you.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 Because the world will sit you down after long enough
Yep.
and tell you like, hey, this is it. This is where you're at. This is who you are. Whether you like it or not, this is who you are.
Yep.
And it's your job to either change it or just deal with it.
Yeah.
And so for the person that's asking how you figure out your values, cite back those 5 things.
Saying one more time.
I can't.
I can't either. Fuck. What were the 5 things?
can't.
Shit. You're gonna have to rewind.
Yeah, I can't.
That was good.
No, because it's and I don't have any shame in saying that I can't bring them back, because it came right off the top.
I
Well,
know.
they were heavy questions.
I know.
Like there's some, those are things you have to,
Yeah.
you can't just hold up there.
No.
I mean, that's stuff you really have to think about,
Yeah.
you know?
But those are, and I came up with those on the spot because what are the things that actually got me to, because this might even be more valuable than having the list, is that the way that I thought about the question, because I had no idea how to answer it earlier
Yeah.
when you brought it up. I was like,
Me
I
neither.
don't-
That's why I asked you.
yeah, I have no idea.
When I'm stumped, I ask GLOFF.
Yeah. You asked the question. It's like, I don't even really know exactly how I'm going to answer that, because I know innately what my values are. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm also actively
Me too.
trying to change
But I don't know how to
them.
put it in language.
Right. So it's a really ethereal thing that language does a really bad job of actually like
It's
communicating.
limiting. It's limiting.
It's very limiting. And so thinking about it from what it really is, it's like, what do you have? What do you want to have in the future? What are you willing to do it? Get that? What are your actual reasons for actually wanting those things? Do you need to change any of those? Are those things really you? What is it that you actually want? What do you want to have in your life? What do you want to protect now and later? What do you want to provide for in the future? It's like, that's when people say they have family, like high family values, or they value their religion, or like this, that, the other. Like, those are the basic ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones everyone says when
They
wanna,
default to that because that's what, it's like you said, that's what majority of people say.
Yeah.
And they just kind of, oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they want brownie points for their values. It's like, I am a family values man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Well, no shit.
Well, right. Like, if you didn't say that, then you're automatically a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Piece
like,
of shit.
Easy.
You're a deadbeat.
Easy job there. Good. So what does that actually mean is the question.
Yep.
Because it's not a real value. It's like, you value your family. It's like, okay, well, I can say that. I value my family. Like, I love my mom, I love my dad, love my siblings. but like, does that actually is that a driving force behind everything that I do? No. So if you're just family values, religious values, like, okay, religious values, first thing, do you actually know what the religious values of the religion that you ascribe to is, to start with, which most people don't? That's a gripe of mine personally, because that annoys me a lot.
Yeah.
But then if you're actually living it and those are your values, you shouldn't have to say it to start with, because your actions should actually just show it. Mm-hmm. And if you have to say that your religious values are like the most important thing to you, and it's not completely evident by the person that you are to the people around you, you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing for all values. But those being the two biggest ones, easiest ones to debunk.
Yeah.
Because everyone says them. But that's not it. It's such a platitude that it doesn't actually lead you anywhere. Mm-hmm. So what do you do with that? Like, if somebody that's actually asking this question in good faith is sitting back and they're like, what are my values? Like, I value my family. I value my religion. It's like, okay, but what did you do today?
Dissect those two a little bit. Yeah.
Right. It's like, what did you do today? Yeah. How many of those things and the reasons why you did them actually tied at all
To that?
None, probably. Maybe a couple.
Yeah.
If it's not a real driving force behind what you're doing, then it's not really a value you hold.
Yeah.
And if it's a value that you actually hold, then you're going to be able, if somebody presses you on it, it's like, oh, you have religious values, family values. It's like, okay, well, then what does that actually mean? It's like, if you can't just go right off the top and be like, oh, well, this, because I hold a church group on my own.
Yeah.
And I invite everyone in the community, and I'll go up to the homeless people and tell them that they're welcome as well, because my home is open to everyone, just like Jesus would. It's like, okay, well, somebody that does that, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I believe you. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, okay, well, your religious values, but you live the same mainstream lifestyle that literally every other person has. But then when you unfortunately have to go to a funeral or something, you're praying to God that your person is with them. It's like, you're not religious. You're not. Mm-hmm. That is not a value that you hold, because you don't act on it. Yeah. It's just something that you have as a backdrop that you can just use as like a stand-in for a part of your personality or your actions that you don't follow through on. Yeah. And that's the same thing with every other value.
Yep.
That's true.
And that is why I had you answer the question. Yep. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. Your alarm went off. Your bedtime alarm went off. So
yeah.
And this guy's got to get to bed.
I just keep sweating.
I just keep sweating. We're hungry, and I think I'm going to DoorDash us all some food. How about that?
Yeah. His smile.
Yeah.
He's happy with that.
At least I'm DoorDashing myself food. Would you like to participate at least?
What is it?
I don't know. What do you want?
Whatever.
Okay, crew.
All right.
Do it before it gets too late.
That's it.
I'll take the dogs out too.